Nothing says laissez-faire capitalism like the hundreds, probably millions at this point, millions of pages of codes and laws and regulations, so much so that it is literally impossible for any human being to even know what all the laws and regulations and codes are. And which is why it always amazes me when people will say things like, do it the right way, do it the legal way. And it's like, no one actually knows. We're all committing crimes accidentally, but it's okay because no one else knows it's illegal either. It's like some weird, like Kafka-esque thing where we're all criminals and don't even realize it. And so that's what I would say to the whole, we're laissez-faire. When it comes to rules, we're not against, there's this claim or this phrase that we use a lot. We're not against rules, we're against rulers. I want to put a little finer point on that because that's an easy one to ask lots of questions about. We aren't against the fact that human beings are going to create boundaries. We want those boundaries to be created by the actual stakeholders, like the property owner or a group of people who have decided to come together voluntarily and create a venture together, as opposed to someone who's not the least bit involved, hundreds or thousands of miles away, who doesn't really have any incentive for whatever they're regulating to do well at all, and who then can be easily captured to use those regulations to help the most powerful at the expense of everyone else. That's what we're saying. We're not saying that there shouldn't or that there aren't going to be rules. We're saying the people that are coming up with those rules are the people that have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, and it's going to be so easy for the very people that we think these regulations are going to be protecting us from. They're actually just going to capture that agency and control it from the top.
That seems like one of the central tension points between, I think, honest, like good faith progressives and good faith sort of classical liberal libertarians.
Yep.
Is, does the government serve to be a check on private actors that are trying to be a predator, or does it serve as a magnifier?
Yeah.
And I think progressives will ultimately say, we need a big, robust government because otherwise we'll just have oligarchy. We've got these giant multinational corporations. Yeah. And so only the government, which at least is representative because of democracy,
okay,
so it represents all of us, can stand up to the Googles and the Apples and the Amazons of the world and have we the people's interest in mind, because that's what it says on the documents. Yes. And because I went and voted a couple of years ago. And so
yeah. I'm
sure the president knows that when I voted, I meant to say I don't want to pay more for my Amazon Prime account. That's, the information's embedded in there somewhere.
It's obviously in there.
I'm mocking it already, which is not fair to me. But I do think that is the argument.
Yes.
And we do live in a world of very large companies that can do quite a bit to manipulate us, to, I wouldn't necessarily say impinge on us, but we can't escape the fact that there's a bunch of big companies out there that impact our lives. Cell phone companies, the health insurance companies.
Yep.
How do you
just debunked their argument. So they will, and I'm saying the good faith progressives, not the ones who are in on it. The actual good faith progressives will, in one breath, say that the government is captured by large multinational, multi-trillion-dollar corporations. They're using the regulations to make the agencies look the other way, which is why it's so weird that they're against the ending of Chevron deference. But anyway, they're so mad that the agencies are looking the other way, and then if they do regulate, it ends up harming us and helping the big corporations, and that's why we need government to be even more involved. And let's go back to first principles here. If you want to buy something, I think just about everyone would recognize that if you want to buy something, it's best to have a variety of competing options to choose from because they have a vested interest in trying to get your business. You don't want to only have one option. Government is not only a monopoly, it's not only one option, it is a violent monopoly that imposes its authority through violence and threats of violence, and it is financed through extortion. So not only are they the only game in town for any service they're telling you that they're providing, but you also don't have an option to opt out. At least with another monopoly, you go, you know what, I just don't need that. If I don't need that thing, I just won't get it. Government doesn't give you that option. You have to pay. You have to obey and comply. You have to, buy whatever it is they're telling you to buy if they've mandated it. And so what government does is it creates this end run around the market. If I'm a successful company, I reach a point where I go, okay, this is about the amount of market share I can get through normal means, through serving the consumer. I'm going to have smaller competitors. They're going to be able to be more agile. They don't have the legacy costs that I have because I've been around, my company's been around for 100 years. All of these things, I'm going to start losing market share unless I spend pennies at, capturing these agencies and get hundreds of dollars back in subsidies, market share protection, mandates, favors from politicians. I would be, in one way, it would be, if I'm wanting to grow my market share and I don't have any ethics or morals, I would be a fool not to do it. And actually, at first, I may do it just to survive. I don't want them regulating me into losing my business. Well, once I've got that bit of a hook in there, well, why wouldn't I use it to, give some benefits for myself? The nature of government is that it is a centralization of power and authority. So the more power and authority you give it, the more anyone trying to seek power and authority are going to get it, not by trying to serve the needs of the many to get back money and get back compensation for it and growth through merit, but instead to do an end run and just seek the people that are getting those positions of power and authority. And it reaches a point where it inverts, and now the people are actually going to get elected to those positions of power and authority to have good relations with those multinational corporations. Any large government, even the so-called communist governments in the USSR, and we're seeing it now in China, they're ultimately captured by their corporations there. That's the rich, wealthy, and powerful will always seek power to retain it. So what you want to do is diffuse that power out to individual human beings through their role as a member of the market, so that now people, if they want that money, they have to serve the market, serve us, serve the consumer.
One of the things that is an interesting challenge for us as libertarians is to be able to answer the question, well, how do you reverse that ratchet effect? Because it is the case that so long as there's that central authority, that ring of power you can grasp for, people are going to grasp for it.
Yeah.
And of course, the people that are in the pole position economically have the influence, have the resources to lobby and spend money. They're going to do it. You can, a great example in current times is you have Sam Altman at OpenAI, who's been traveling around the world, talking to governments, being sort of pro-regulation.
Oh, yeah.
If you're attuned to this kind of stuff, you're like, why do I think the regulations that will come out of what Sam Altman is talking about will make it harder for his competitors?
Of course.
To create new large language models and sort of entrench his system. And then he'll be too big to fail, which ends up sort of protecting it even more. So I think it's incumbent on us to be able to say, not only as critics, that's all bad, but some mechanism by which we can start to unwind that or constrain it. How do you think about that challenge?
Well, first of all, we have to educate people on this. And I know that's like not a satisfactory answer, because if we could just educate people about it, then we'd already have won, because we know this and we're out sharing it. But we have to figure out how to actually reach people with the fact that this doesn't work.
If you like this clip, you should check out the full video and all the other great content we've got at Dad Saves America. So be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you won't miss our new stuff as it drops each week.